Our guest now, Mr. Olusegun Okunade, is a fellow Institute of Chartered Accountant. He joins me now via the telephone. Thank you for your time, for joining us on Business Breakfast.
Good morning, Frank, and good morning to our viewers. My pleasure to be here this morning.
It's all right. Despite a drop in inflation figure for the 6th time in September, food inflation remains steady. How do you describe these disparities?
Yeah, well, Frank, if we want to go to the basics, what is inflation itself and how does it affect every human being? You and I know that inflation is the general increase in prices of goods and commodities. And, having a fall in the purchasing value of money, of even individuals around. Going by this, you and I understand the basics that inflation is really not a good yardstick to measure individual because it affects the citizen negatively. And going by your intro, you have said that we keep having a decline in inflation, but the food index keep,
rising,
remain the same and keep increasing. It's not far-fetched. It's a simple analogy because I won't want to bore our viewers with so many technicalities. The background information is that the insecurity in the land has given so much rise to some of the commodities that we can see. Take, for example, the agric produce. 2019 to 2020, we faced with the problem of COVID vis-a-vis the insecurity. So it's like double jeopardy for us in this part of the world. Insecurity was so prevalent that most farmers that were supposed to have plant in the season of planting were scared and afraid of going to the farm because of the challenges of being killed. Those that managed to risk their life goes there, and you discover that some of these produce too are being, attacked by the herdsmen in codes, people not having, restriction in their movement with their own business. So food as it is plays a major role, and it's really a problem with the level of insecurity. Two, foreign exchange, because we are import-based economy. Most of the things we consume are import-based. You discover that it has its own effects on the cost of food materials. Averagely, elites like you, not poor people like us, eat imported foods. You don't like eating the local-made foods. So you discover that the pressure on foreign exchange also have its own impact. The local flours and sugar that is supposed to be produced here because of the insecurity in the country, you discover that majority of them are being imported. And because of the pressure on our foreign exchange, you discover that the price keep increasing. Look, I have this to tell you that the price from the supplier to us, it's not the issue. But because there is increase in our foreign exchange, it has increased the cost of some of this raw material, which are inputs to those stable foods that you and I consume. And you discover that the MBS can come out and say it's steady. But you and I know that the price of food keep increasing day by day. As a matter of fact, practically, just 2 weeks ago, I went to the market myself, just as a survey. I bought a pound of beans for about 3,200. 2 weeks later, I was told that it's about 4,200. Can you imagine an increase of 1,000 naira? When an average person's salary has not been increased, when his cost of living has not increased, but
let me quickly come in.
Has increased.
Yeah, I'm sorry to jump in there. I want to quickly, you cited two major issues here. The issue of insecurity, which has also, reduced the supply of food in the economy. And of course, the second reason you said the exchange rate and of course the value of the naira as well. Now, how the concern is this, that how do we address, apart from our own challenges locally or domestically, but how do you think we can address the issue of price differences in the foreign exchange market? You have the official rate and of course you have the parallel market as well.
that is, to me, a simple question but difficult solution. And it's pretty well. Who are the major players in this? You know, we have the official rate, which is expected for you to go through your commercial banks, apply to the central banks for them to get foreign exchange for you. And we have the parallel market, which is the bookies, those that sell by the roadside. We discovered that because of the bureaucratic nature of average businessman having access to foreign exchange, it has stiffened the neck of an average businessman resourcing into the public, which is the roadside malam, because of the exigency of executing their business to time and also the cash flow that they need to play around with. So the major bottleneck that we have and the problem that we are faced with is how is the CBN managing the commercial bank. If you go to the commercial bank, you have excuses like, well, the federal bank, the CBN has limited, foreign exchange to share based on our reserve, this and that. So you are applying today, applying tomorrow, you are not getting that foreign exchange. You get frustrated. And what do? Irrespective of the amount of forex that you intend to get from the black market, is readily available. So we have been saying that, can we checkmate the source? We've asked the question, and up till now, we've not had an answer to it because we can't provide the answer. And the question is, where are the people on the street, the aboki, where are they getting their foreign exchange from? That they have it, their liquidity base is high. Even when the federal government has decided that they are not going to sell some of these foreign exchanges, then you discover that it's just going out. And why? Because an average businessman has confidence in the aboki along the side because he's going to have access to it easier than going through the formal channel. So that's the problem we are faced with. Can the CBN work with the commercial bank to make sure that not only the high and mighty they get access to some of this funds for the businessman? That's one aspect of it.
Are you saying, quickly, are you saying that there's still some loopholes, even with the central bank forex policy?
Yeah, there is, Frank. If it's not, the roadside marketers of some of this foreign exchange, which is not obtainable anywhere, or just in this part of the world, are the ones that are controlling the process. If there are no loopholes, I expect that by now, an average businessman would have resources into visiting the bank, and when they don't have patronage, no, you'll be forced. You see, this thing is the law of demand and supply. When your demand outweighs your supply, definitely you are going to increase your pricing in order to maximize that small, opportunity that you have. So you discover that the advocates on the road still have the patronage of an average businessman that intends to quickly carry out some of his businesses as against having access to it from the bank. There is still a loophole. If the central bank has made available quality supply of this foreign exchange to the business people that need it, definitely the demand for it outside will go down, and nothing that the advocates will do than to be forced to reduce their price. Because when you don't have patronage, what do? You are forced to come down to the price of the people that are saying, but what do we have? Because it's not available in the bank, people resorted into having so many things. And that's just one leg of it. The other leg of it is because we are too import-based. Everything we do, the ear on our women's head is imported. The matches we use is imported. The food we consume is imported. There are several channels that everybody is importing goods. You go to Alibaba, you buy. What do you use in exchange? It is still foreign exchange that you are using. So you discover that there is so much pressure on our foreign exchange, and until the government is willing, have that political will to make sure that everything that we consume as individual is domesticated. China, the Asian country, they have some of these policies that you must patronize the things that are produced locally. Imagine some of the things that we can produce here that we are importing. Why do we have to do that? Without you are putting...
Let me come in quickly now.
Even in the line of education.
Yes.
Gone are those days when you have the foreigner come to UI, Unilag, Obasanjo Awolowo,
right,
come to go and study. At that point, what increasing their foreign exchange because they have to bring foreign exchange, convert to Naira, which will empower you. But what have we got in reverse is the case. Everybody now, even the woman selling pepper in the market, wants his or her child to have education overseas. And what do you use to pay? Foreign exchange.
A lot of issues now.
Yes. To domesticate things, we may not be going too far.
The issue of forex, foreign exchange market has, and the disparities of prices has really thrown a lot of things up in that segment of the market. But let's come back home. Of course, the implication of the September inflation on the economy. Now, the concern is that individual income remain unchanged. For instance, the minimum wage is not likely to change anytime soon. So, what do you suppose is the implication of these, especially on the average man, the man in the street there?
The implication, you and I know, is huge. And I don't want to sound pessimistic, but we just need to be realistic with it. If what you are earning cannot take you up, take, for example, I was talking with a certain set of people, and they told me that this semovita of 10 kg that we used to get at about 1,800, 2,003 is about 5,000 won. And the guy is complaining that there is no patronage of some of those products. Imagine those that are producing those things locally, because you don't have your purchasing power is too low. Even when you want to eat, you see, food should be the commonest thing that everybody should be able to afford. In my vast years of traveling, you know, everywhere you go, food are just on the table that everybody can afford. That, but what we have reversed is the case here, and it's huge. My people will talk in our dialect that once you take food out of your problem is 75% solved, because you can think right. But when you discover that you are hungry, and hungry man is an angry man, and you will not even be able to think right. So the implication is enormous. That's why you discover that the high rate of robbery, the high rate of hooliganism, people being attacked on the road, keep increasing, because when people cannot afford to eat, they eat the road. They can't eat, but they will eat the road, and they will go about you and I that manage to have this small vehicle going around, because they see you putting on AC, they feel that you have more than enough. And they have to attack you to get something out of you, harass you, and so many things. So that on its own provides insecurity. So if the government can be willing, determined to see how we can make sure that some of the things that are actually being imported into the country are being produced locally. And this can only happen if the environment is conducive. Security plays a key role. If whether monetary policy, fiscal policy, any ideology you want to bring in, security is a bedrock of everything, because any secure environment is bound to be prosperous. You will think right. You'll be able to move. Frank, let me just say this. I don't know. There was a time in this country that night bus was order of the day. As a matter of fact, even if I need to travel, I enjoy driving at night. The weather will be cold, normal. It will be cool. Your tire will not run. You don't stand the risk of having a busted tire because of the heat on the road. But can you even travel during the day now? Because of the level of insecurity, people cannot go about transacting their business. Some business are interstate related. But you look at the time that you feel is secure for you to move on the road. So government must first address, by my own, let's give all this monetary policy, fiscal policy, if there is insecurity, irrespective of the good policies that might be put in place by the central bank or by the Minister of Finance in the area of monetary and fiscal policy, if there is insecurity, we are not going anywhere.
I think we need to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time on Business Breakfast. Olusegun Okwade is a chartered accountant. Thank you for your time on Business Breakfast.
My pleasure. Very well, Frank. And thank you for having me.